Happy day after Turkey Day, happy Black Friday, and happy Survivor Series weekend. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Greg Balls of Fire. Here, we are going to predict tomorrow's WWE Survivor Series War Game pay-per-view in its entirety. We're also going to be reviewing Wednesday night's Dynamite, which I'm still laughing about between the Tony Storm stuff and the Christian rechristening. A lot of confusion in the Continental Classic, World's End main event being nailed down. Lots to get into, and the show was kind of hilarious to me this past week for whatever reason. We're going to talk wrestling news. We're going to shoot the shit, hang out, and chat, and get caught up on everything that we've missed in the past few days. Last time I was up here for a podcast was Monday night after Raw, as we got the reveal that Randy Orton would in fact be the fifth member of the team tomorrow. However, he didn't appear on Monday Night Raw. They just announced him, didn't even really say his name. Cody just said he was the Apex Predator, the Viper, and he has a legacy with him. So it's pretty obvious. And now looking back, it appears that the only reason WWE announced that on Raw is to kind of cool the jets of all the fans who really think CM Punk is coming back to the WWE tomorrow. Is CM Punk showing up at Survivor Series tomorrow? We're going to talk about that in a minute. I have not changed my stance on Punk at Survivor Series. I never have. It's not difficult to me to read and understand the reports from trusted media sources in terms of what Punk is going to do, what type of contacts, if any, he's had with WWE, and what WWE knows on their side. He's not going to be there for all intents and purposes unless some 11th hour deal was made. He was even brought up and mentioned today in an ESPN article. Nakamura's been calling out somebody on TV. There is a whole bunch of fans that still wholeheartedly believe that CM Punk will be at Survivor Series tomorrow night in Chicago. Can Greg say definitively yes or no on that? Of course not. Neither can you. Neither can anybody. Nobody knows for sure. But I'm pretty sure he ain't coming, and I'm going to explain why today in just a little bit. We're also going to talk about the speculation as to who Nakamura is talking about. We're going to talk about Ronda Rousey's appearance in Ring of Honor that did air on Honor Club after she taped that, I think, last Friday on Collision before the pay-per-view. And like I said, we're going to talk about Dynamite as well. We're going to run through the very confusing Continental Classic right now because we've got the gold group, we got the blue group. We had gold matches kicking off on Dynamite, blue matches kicking off tomorrow, by the way. Rampage and Collision go head-to-head with Survivor Series. That's fun. And we're going to have some blue matches tomorrow. And Tony Khan in the little, I don't know, what's it called, the bracket reveal or whatever the shit he did with Tony Schiavone was. They tried to clarify whatever the hell Eddie Kingston was talking about when he said he's going to be putting both of his championships on the line. And we're still not totally sure what all of this means, but I think I understand what Tony Khan was talking about, but I might not. Maybe you guys can help me out with that. So we're going to talk about the Continental Classic, what it means, what the new champion is going to be like, since it apparently is going to be merging 3 championships together, and what it means for the future, and who might win. Also on Dynamite, a lot of fun stuff with MJF, Adam Cole, and Samoa Joe. Our World's End main event title match is set for December 30th. MJF defending against Samoa Joe. And Christian decided to rename his family in a really bonkers and fun segment, to be honest, on Wednesday night. And I don't think I could ever have imagined 25 years ago me ever being this big of a fan of Christian. I have always liked Christian, always. But there is something about this last year or two in the business that has been just such a nice cherry on top of what has already been a Hall of Fame career. But I argue that Christian is doing the best work of his career right now, when he's arguably past his prime in the ring, although you wouldn't know it, because even with the turtleneck, the dude can work. That was a slogan when he first came in: outwork everyone. In my late 40s, I'm going to outwork everyone on the roster. And he came pretty damn close to doing that too. So we're going to talk about why Christian is a true wrestling god for real. And we'll talk about everything else we saw on Dynamite as well. And then we will preview tonight's SmackDown big title match tonight on SmackDown, Tag Team Gold on the line. And I think there's a real possibility that Damian Priest could see a whole bunch of setbacks here in the next few hours, only to walk out of Survivor Series with the ultimate prize. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. But tonight's SmackDown is looking interesting. And then we will take the time to predict the entire massive 5-match card for tomorrow's Survivor Series. That's right, only 5 matches announced unless they tack one on tonight at Survivor Series last minute. And a few of these, to be honest, are throwaway matches. Who the fuck cares about Santos and Carlito and Rhea and Zoe? Not me. So there's about 3 matches, really only 2 that I really care about, 2.5 if you count Miz and Gunther. But I'm more interested in what's going to take place in that men's War Games match. And I talked about that a lot on Monday night when I talk about scenarios that I like to see when we crown a new world champion, or when you make a guy who hasn't been champion before, or when you cash in a big Money in the Bank briefcase. I like that to really have its own stage without being overshadowed by a whole bunch of other stuff. And you couldn't ask for a better pay-per-view card here. There's only 5 matches on this thing. No other real stakes on the line here. The women's match will be interesting, but it's not going to be crazy. It's probably going to open the show. And Gunther and Rhea are in no danger of losing their titles. Carlito and Santos you could do on SmackDown. So there is no better place in my mind to do a cash-in than tomorrow. Because if you do a cash-in at the Royal Rumble, or Damian Priest wins the title at WrestleMania, or something like that, there's going to be too much else going on. That's why Crown Jewel wouldn't have been a good idea. That's why Sammy came out and stole the briefcase and ran away with it, because cashing in the middle of the card, I don't know if that would have had the same impact. So if they really do plan on having Priest hold the briefcase until WrestleMania, that means they have to keep coming up with excuses for him not to cash it in for the next 6 months. Do we really want that? I feel like tomorrow is the day, y'all. And I could be totally wrong, but I am just thinking in terms of WWE, if they want to make Priest champion, because we don't know what's going on backstage, but we've heard WWE's very high on Priest. If they're high on him and they want to make him champion and they intend on having him successfully cash in, it's just a matter of when. Tomorrow's it. I feel like if he doesn't do it tomorrow, then he won't successfully cash in, unless they want to save this thing for a TV to close out the show, to close out the year on Raw. Maybe the last Monday Night Raw of the year or something like that. Or perhaps WWE really wants Rollins, who isn't even the captain of his own team. He's almost like a forgotten member of the men's War Games match, which is crazy. Unless they want him to carry that belt all the way into WrestleMania and perhaps defend it against a Sami Zayn or something like that, maybe. Or a Gunther. But I kind of want to see Priest win it. There's a lot of other variables now. McIntyre's on the team. That could pose a lot of problems. They might want to, what if they decide to replace McIntyre with Priest? What if Priest goes back to being a babyface and Drew takes over as the leader of the Judgment Day, but then Priest gets the last laugh winning the championship? But that's going to be hard to do since Seth is a babyface. So it might be a matter of Priest winning the title, but then maybe they're going to think his head is getting too big. There's been a little bit of dissension behind the scenes with him and Rhea, a few conversations, things like that about who's the leader, and he really just does whatever she says. So if Priest now wins the title, Rhea feels threatened. She, because he's now a champion too, I can no longer call myself the leader since he has a trophy just as valuable as mine. So maybe she orchestrates something behind the scenes with Judgment Day to boot out Priest and replace him with McIntyre, so she can remain in control or in power or whatever. Although I feel like she'd have to concede some of that power to McIntyre as well. So maybe this whole thing is this big process to actually not only get Priest the title, but then have him turn babyface. And that might work. That might work. Priest winning the title first as a heel, but then becoming a babyface after the fact, and I don't know, maybe dropping it at WrestleMania to Gunther. Something like that. But that's way ahead. We got to talk about that later on. The first thing I want to do is say hi to you guys. Happy Friday. Hopefully you guys had an excellent Turkey Day yesterday for those living here in the States. And you had a great holiday. If you're out shopping today, be careful. Please don't murder a complete stranger for a flat screen TV. It's not worth it. Do all your shopping online. Don't even venture out into the world tonight. That would be my advice. But I hope you guys are having a great holiday week, and I hope you're excited and jacked for Survivor Series. By the way, tomorrow, we're going to be here all day watching it together. So the link is already up on my page. Go save it for tomorrow. We are going to watch Survivor Series live. We will go live here on the channel probably 15 minutes before the main show starts. I don't think I'm going to come up here for the pre-show or anything like that. But we'll kick back and watch Survivor Series together. Then we'll hang around and kind of give a small recap and review of the show. And then I'll probably be back up here Monday night for a podcast after Raw to elaborate on everything Survivor Series related. Usually on Sundays, we do our classic pay-per-view watch-alongs. Not this Sunday. I actually have plans, family engagement. That's why I decided to do the Survivor Series watch-along tomorrow instead of doing the classic watch-along on Sunday. So that's going on. I'm going to be doing shout-outs and saying hello to everybody in a second here, but since I'm on the subject of watch-alongs and reactions, guess what is back? Big channel announcement for you guys. My second channel that's been dormant I haven't even logged into this thing in 3 years. It's back. I have resurrected it because I really miss using it. And I've been looking for a long time for finding kind of a destination to dump a lot of my live event footage that I've taken from, WrestleMania and AEW shows and WWE shows. And also, we tape live on Sundays our classic pay-per-view watch-alongs. I then match that up with the footage, and I like to upload, little clips of me reacting to wrestling matches and whatnot. So I did a little research about, I don't know, maybe a year ago now, trying to decide if it was better for the YouTube algorithm for me to either resurrect a dead channel that I haven't used in a while or start a completely new channel. And based on the research I was reading, it sounded like it was a better idea just for the algorithm to start a new channel. So that's when I started Bald Guy Wrestling. And I started putting a lot of that stuff up there. And I thought it would be a good way to try to start a new channel. But it wasn't growing the way I wanted. And I kind of missed using my old one because my old channel already had 5,000 subscribers already preset there. It's down to about 4,600 now. We've lost some over the last 3 years, but I haven't uploaded any videos or even logged into that channel since like 2019 or something like that. So this past week, I have resurrected the channel. I've reorganized it. I've organized the old video content from long ago that I had on there into 2 little playlists, deleted a lot of bullshit, and now I have changed the banner, changed the profile picture, kind of given it a little bit of a facelift, and I've added 2 new playlists on there. One is going to be the live event footage that I take, and the other is going to be Greg Reacts, and that's where I'm going to take little matches, edit them, and put them up on YouTube. I have to distort it a little bit with a WWE logo and some faded black lines just for copyright purposes. But those are going to be showing up on the second channel. 2 of them are already up. The entire match of Royal Rumble 1996 and Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels from Survivor Series 1992. I'm working on a couple of other reactions and matches right now. And also the full form unedited versions of these without any distortion or any interruption is going to be for Patreon members and channel members. So if you're a channel member or you support on Patreon, you will get these entire pay-per-views, the ones that I choose to upload anyway, in their entirety with the full footage over there. But then small little edited snippets will be on the second channel. They're really fun to edit. I don't mind doing them. It's kind of cool and extra content to put up. It's really all I got, and it's really all I have time for. I have all of these reactions recorded from Sunday nights, and I'm like, hey, why don't we match it up with the footage and make some content out of this? So that was what the point of Bald Guy Wrestling was going to be, until I now realize that, okay, let's abandon that project. Let's just transfer everything back over to the second channel like we used to do back in the day, and you should see content pretty frequently on there. I'm really going to work hard to keep that channel moving so we can get some life breathed back into it. So there's some videos up there now, more to come in the future. Make sure you subscribe to my second channel. It's right there on the top of my page. And the Bald Guy Wrestling, I'm going to leave it up and leave everything up there, but I'm not going to upload any new content. So we're just going to kind of do away with that one, restart our second channel. Now we have Good Mic Work commentaries and Good Mic Work 2 for all of your Good Mic Work YouTube needs. Please check it out and subscribe or resubscribe if you haven't been to that channel in a while. Back in the day, we used to put cool shit up there all the time, and I think I had 5,000 subscribers, over 2 million views on the videos I already had there. So I'm kind of glad. I wish I would have just done this from the beginning. I should have just done this from the beginning instead of trying to start the Bald Guy Wrestling, but having Good Mic Work 2 back up and running with content feels good. Brings me back to 2014 when I was putting shit up there all the time, and that is back now, so please give that a subscription. Already let you know what we're going to do tomorrow, watching Survivor Series. Already let you know that we're off on Sunday for the Classic Watch-Along, and we will be up here Monday night after Raw for a Wing Diggle podcast to talk about Raw, to talk about Collision, Survivor Series, fallout from all of that, whatever we learn by Monday, and who knows, we might be talking about CM Punk too. We just don't know. So that's what's on tap for this week and the announcements I wanted to give you guys. We are, 20 minutes into this podcast, and I haven't even said hello to you guys yet. Happy Friday to you. Let me cruise over here and just say hi to everybody that's been hanging out. Like always, Radio VHS, Rodrigo, happy Turkey Day to you. We got Vash Starwind up in here, Red Raven Rucker, JL, Stone Cold 10X, and the Juliet, some early channel members, and we got Rarely Even. I'll hit that super chat in a minute. Let me say hello to Big J, Sonic Plays, and David Brown. A lot is here as well, and Mohammed and Christian. Rarely Even, thank you so much, my friend, for the $5. Fantasy Booking, Judgment Day assaults Randy Orton as he arrives. I just don't see this. A lot of people have been talking about this. Cody issues open invitation to join the team. CM Punk accepts. They're not going to do Randy Orton like that. Because if CM Punk, the biggest problem I have with this is that if they were going to do some sort of attack angle where CM Punk takes his place, then it wouldn't be Randy Orton. It would be Kevin Owens or somebody else that's already there. Because now it's like, even though fans are going to be happy to see CM Punk, if I'm Randy Orton and I've been wrestling in the WWE for as long as I have, and I have the legacy there, and Triple H gives me these creative ideas, I'm going to look at Triple H and say, are you fucking kidding me? I've been working my ass off, busting my nuts to get back, and I'm going to show up at Survivor Series ready to rock and roll, and you're going to boot me out of there? Fuck that. For Phil? I don't think so. I don't think so, Triple H. So the reason I don't see that happening is because it's Randy Orton. Randy Orton is not a red herring. They would not do Randy like that. I think they would use somebody else if it was just a placeholder. I mean, you got to think about this from Randy Orton's perspective as well. And why would WWE do that to Randy Orton, a guy we haven't seen in 18 months? He's been out a year and a half. They're going to tease us, not bring him back for Phil. That's an unnecessary, I guess, tease or disappointment, because I would just use Owens or somebody else that we're familiar with and is on TV right now who gets attacked. And then the fans are like, oh, yeah, that would be awesome. But Randy Orton, to me, the fact that they announced Randy Orton and didn't bring him out on TV on Monday meant one thing and one thing only. Fans, chill out. It's not CM Punk. Their WWE is trying, the point WWE's laboring to make to these fans is it's not going to be CM Punk. That's the whole point of them announcing Randy Orton. That whole crowd on Monday, Greg included, was expecting to see the Viper come out, and he didn't. So I think they want to save his return ovation for Survivor Series, but they want to let the fans know it's him. That way, when that fifth man we're waiting for that fifth man's entrance, when all the baby faces come out, after Cody and Seth and Sammy and Jay come out, you don't want that whole arena chanting CM Punk and then Randy Orton comes out. So they're trying to make that so. Plus, it's been said that there's no plans for CM Punk, at least to come in as of, a few weeks ago. Everybody on WWE's side has not heard that he's coming, but that doesn't mean anything. Triple H could call him tomorrow morning and be like, yo, drive over, we'll use you. You never know what's going to happen. But we'll talk about CM Punk in a minute. That particular scenario, though, I don't see it happening because of Randy Orton. I just think it would be somebody else. So I'm not feeling that one. The Juliet, one RKO to Dom Dom, please. Yeah, exactly. See Rarely Even. You don't want to pass up an RKO to Dom Dom. That would be sweet. Good to see Ben. Stone Cold and 10X is here. I'm not sure if I got you, but welcome, channel member. Rarely Even's got 5 more for us. What do you think of WWE continuing to tease Jade Cargill all the way till the Rumble? She makes her debut in the women's match and wins it. I don't know. I think that scenario would be better than her debuting in War Games. That would be a silly match for her to debut. So I never really thought it would be Jade here. But also, they wanted to bring Jade in, let the fans know she's here. It's a big deal. The whole world knew when she left AEW and signed with WWE anyway. They brought her in like a star, but they're working with her. She's in the PC right now. They're evaluating her. We don't know where she stands. We don't know if WWE's pleased with her progress, not pleased, thinks she needs more work, exceeding expectations. We don't know any of that. So it's going to be up to them. But I've seen a lot of fans too kind of complaining like, how come they're not saying anything about Jade Cargill? I'm like, well, they weren't going to they were just showing you that she was here. See, here she is. Stick her on TV a little bit, but they still have to get her WWE ready. And for whatever reason, maybe she's not there yet. Royal Rumble would be an excellent spot. But like you said, if she debuts in the women's match and wins it, that's the way I would feel it would have to go. If I'm WWE, I'm not debuting Jade in the Royal Rumble unless the plan is for her to win it. Because if she's not going to win it, don't debut her there, because then she's just going to get tossed out or whatever. I suppose she could get tossed out by her WrestleMania opponent, maybe. But I would only debut Jade in the Royal Rumble if she was going to win. But again, I don't really know. It just depends on when she's ready to rock and what time of year it is and what they have planned for her. But WWE, I kind of trust their process on this one. A lot like Cody, they brought him in knowing what they wanted to do. I feel like they're doing the same thing with Jade. And sometimes because the fans don't see Jade around, they think WWE's forgotten about her or something. They got it under control. They don't need your help, Jim or Susie or whoever. But they got this. I wouldn't worry about it. It's Robert is here too. Decimania. Ian Dunn. Good to see another channel member. And Derek Bosek. Hey, good to see you. Rarely even just chiming in with the Lincolns, just making it rain, these Lincolns, man. Good to see you again, rarely even. Which AEW star or stars are next to be WWE bound? I think Ricky Starks was made for WWE. He just always has felt WWE to me. Who's next? Ricky would be one. I could see that for sure. He's already kind of buddies with Cody. I would love to see Miro or Keith Lee get back there or anybody else that they're just not using. Wardlow's contract, when it comes up, should be interesting, although they finally decided to start using him now. I don't know who else really off the top of my head, but that's something that's always, it's not going to just be that. It's going to be WWE people to go into AEW as well. And we have two giant roster pools in WWE and AEW that are going to constantly be having contracts coming up on both sides, not just one. So everybody are going to be going everywhere. That's the beauty of competition. That's what it was like back in WCW and WWE days. So we've only just begun with the Codys and the Jade Cargills and the Adam Copelands. We've only just begun. We're going to see a lot more moving parts as the years go by. Nick Musser, Chris Barrera, and Ian Dunn. More homies in here. Good to see the channel members, along with another Lincoln from Rarely Even. Randy Orton turns heel. Thank you for the 5. And then refuses to do the RKO during his whole heel run. Imagine the heat. Maybe. I don't know. Even as a heel, Randy Orton didn't seem like his motivations were to ever to be to troll the audience. His emotions were much deeper and more sinister than that. You know, Randy Orton doesn't seem like that's something MJF would do, is not do his finisher just to fuck with the fans when he's a heel. Randy Orton doesn't give a shit. Randy Orton wants to murder whoever he's feuding with. I don't even think heel Randy Orton gives a shit about the fans, to be honest. I don't even think heel Randy Orton would give a shit enough about the audience to even do that to them, to even deprive them. He's like, I have to care about somebody to take something away from them. I don't even care about you guys. I don't care if you have it or don't have it. I feel like Randy wouldn't care. So I'm not sure if that would work for him or not. We also have Jay. I think I got most of the shout outs here. We got more from Rarely Even. Let me finish these up here real quick. Ian, Denny Downbad, I want to make sure I said hi to you. Stephen Jacobson, Doug Funny is here as well. And we have 5 more from Rarely Even. I'm going to the Rumble this year. If a Judgment Day member wins the Rumble, I'm jumping over the damn railing. Why would you do that? I don't think a Judgment Day member is going to win the Rumble, but how in the world why in the world would you want to riot when somebody as glorious as Dom Dom wins the Rumble? If Dom Dom wins the Rumble, I'm celebrating. I'm not jumping over any guardrails. But I feel like there are some Cinderellas. There are some dark horses at this year's Royal Rumble. Of course, a lot of people are eyeballing Cody. Gunther is another name. So is Sami Zayn. That's why I think if you had a heel win the title, like if Damian Priest cashes in on Seth, I would love to see a scenario where it's Damian Priest and Sami Zayn for the championship at WrestleMania, like night 1, and Sami Zayn wins the title. But then you're going to be doing it twice. You're going to be putting Sami Zayn over on one night and Cody over on the other. It would be a lot like WrestleMania 21 with Cena and Batista. Not sure if that would work, but I wouldn't mind it. I would definitely like to see Sami Zayn get there. I really like Sami Zayn. We got Green P in the house and everybody else that's here. Michael Cuomo, OG. Who's Jim? Jim's your brother, Michael. I don't know. I just made up names there. Right on. Okay, that's enough for the shout outs because I know you guys are probably getting tired of that. I would love it if you would all who is in here in the chat right now or watching this video to please hit the thumbs up button, hook us up with a like. It would be great. We are very close to 40,000 subscribers on the channel. I would put it somewhere around 30 or 40 more subscribers we need. That's it. So please subscribe. We will probably be there by tomorrow or the next day or something like that. That's going to be fun. It would be fun to hit 40,000 tomorrow in the middle of the Survivor Series watch along. So join us tomorrow. Maybe we can get there. And if you're not a subscriber, please smash that subscribe button and stick around with us because this is a fun channel. And don't forget, we have Good Mic Work 2 available as well for your subscription pleasures. I don't even know if that's a phrase. Let's talk about what we need to talk about today. There's a lot to get into. We're going to start with the wrestling news, and I think we need to start with CM Punk. really nothing new to discuss here. Punk has been the topic of conversation all week. His name is trending hard right now because Survivor Series is in Chicago. He was fired from AEW a couple of months ago. He even cryptically said in the MMA fight that he calls that he's got free time for the next 2 months. Survivor Series is in Chicago. He's probably contractually available to appear if WWE wanted him. I've been reading mostly reports on this from FightFul Select, and everything that they have said from the very beginning has been that there are no plans to bring CM Punk in, but if WWE wanted him, they could have him. This is going all the way back to when he first left AEW. If he comes back to WWE, some sources say he might not be welcome. Some sources would be cool with it. It just depends. Everything changes and nothing is the same one day to the next. You just don't know. But the story has remained pretty consistent the whole time. You know, think of this. Think of the crazy shit we've heard. You know, there was a meeting with the WWE board of directors or something like that. That never happened. There's not even a WWE board of directors. It's a TKO board of directors. That never happened. There was never any concrete creative plans at all. There was never discussions between either side. If you remember, CM Punk even went to Raw months ago when it was in Chicago when he was asked to leave. So there's not a whole lot of evidence that he's coming in. What fans are getting all excited about is WWE trolling the bullshit out of you. They're saying little things on the mic. The fans are fine. I mean, Seth even said, "Cry me a river" in one of his promos a few weeks ago. And they just automatically assume that was a direct reference to CM Punk. I'm like, people say "cry me a river" all the time. You know, I think they're looking so hard for clues, and I think WWE knows that. So they're purposely throwing a few clues out there just to mess with us. Because it's very easy to get fans convinced. I've seen so many people on social media and Twitter convinced he is definitely showing up tomorrow. WWE wouldn't do all these teases if they weren't going to bring him in. They wouldn't. I think they're having fun with you. I think so was Corey Graves and anybody else who said anything on a microphone or on commentary or any sort of perceived reference to CM Punk is nothing more than them just playing into all of the online reports and news that they read and they know all of us are reading. I think there would be a hell of a lot more evidence if CM Punk was definitely coming in. And I think there would be more people that would know or somebody would suspect something. And when you think about all of the arguments against this, like, well, who can trust FightFul or who can trust Sean Ross Sapp? Because, you know, would WWE really tell him what's going to happen and spoil the surprise? Well, WWE wouldn't. He's not talking to Triple H here. He's talking to plenty of sources who are in the know, who would know something if Punk, there was a chance or something like that. And everything has been pointing to the direction of no. But you have this online community of maniacs that are chomping at the bit, frothing at the mouth, laying in wait to pounce or dunk on anything that they perceive as an incorrect report when it's not. Nothing is, even if CM Punk shows up tomorrow, that doesn't mean that anybody was wrong. That doesn't mean the FightFul reports were wrong because they've been very clear. I mean, I don't understand. I don't know what level of education any of these people had, but I learned to read somewhere around second or grade or first grade or something. And I've remembered how to read ever since then. Here's how you do it. Top to bottom, left to right. Group words together to form sentences. You take Tylenol for any headaches, Midol for any cramps. It's not hard. And how fans can read words in that order and then perceive it and interpret it in a completely different way is beyond me. Everybody is all up poor Sean Ross Sapp's ass every day. If he shows up, you're going to have a lot of backpedaling to do. He goes, I never said he was or wasn't. All you have to do is read. Here's what we've heard from day to day. Here's what we heard today. Here's what we heard yesterday. Here's what we heard the day after. Here's all the things we've heard from our sources, and all of our sources are telling us this. That does not mean that if an 11th hour deal was made, that they're wrong. And that's what fans are this is why we have a candidate like Donald Trump that is so popular, because he is that level of stupidity is incredibly attractive to the very stupid. And I think that this level of just detachment from reality, you know, this level of, because what's going to happen if CM Punk were, just for argument's sake, showing up tomorrow at Survivor Series, all of these people would automatically assume that that meant he's been the plan the whole time. And they're going to jump and they're going to pounce on everybody that they waste their time hating. I have better things to do than hate journalists on social media, way better things to do. But they are literally like laying in wait for this to happen so they can jump all over somebody for an incorrect report that wasn't incorrect. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Is this what it's come down to? Because I don't even think it's really about CM Punk showing up or not. You now have a portion of the online wrestling community that is so obsessed with being right. They want so badly to be right that they have this aggressive way of showing that. They are aggressively stating if CM Punk will be there or won't be there, as if their level of knowledge is deeper than anyone else's, or they have access to information that we don't. It's not. You read the same shit we do. You know no more than me or you or Vash or JL or Robert or Muhammad or Ian or any of those guys in the chat. We are all reading and we all know the same shit. Nobody knows for sure. So many comments on my CM Punk post yesterday. He is definitely showing up or he's definitely not showing up. I mean, what's it with you guys? Because let me tell you, you need to try getting a real win in life, because correctly guessing, which is all it is a guess, correctly guessing if someone shows up at a pay-per-view or not is not a win. It's not the win you think it is. All it means is you happened to guess correctly, just like I could happen to guess correctly. Now, I'm pretty sure, and I feel strongly, that CM Punk is not showing up at Survivor Series. I've never once even thought there was a remote chance he would show up at Survivor Series. But if he did, I'm not going to be all embarrassed that I was wrong, because I wasn't a fucking asshole about it. I said, I don't think he's coming, but shit, maybe he will. Everybody else, though, he's definitely coming or he's definitely not coming. And then they argue and lash out at each other. And I'm like, it's the holidays, man. What are we doing? Why are we mad? Why is anybody mad? Speculation is fun. That's part of what we do here on this channel. We love to wildly speculate about anything possible, any possible scenario. We love to talk about if it's a possibility or not. But never once am I sitting here pontificating to you guys that I'm right. I know more shit than all of you. And you're lucky to be here in my presence. Because that's the way it feels like it is with so I speak the facts. Yeah. We know you speak facts. You speak facts right from your bedroom in your mom's house. So I don't understand where the aggression comes from. I don't understand why this is not as fun as it should be. I don't think Punk is coming back, but if I'm CM Punk, I'm loving that my name is trending every day. Every single day it's trending. You don't think WWE knows that and recognizes that potential? This dude has got so much buzz. We'd be stupid not to bring him in. Which is why I do think that CM Punk could still appear in WWE. And that's the thing. Even if he comes in next year, people are going to point at FightFul or anybody else that's been reporting the CM Punk stuff and say, oh, you guys are wrong. I'm like, no, we were right. We were right back then, but things change. It's not the same story in April than it was in October. So you just don't know. I believe that CM Punk, there is a chance that he could come back to WWE. I just think Survivor Series is a little quick, because it feels like they would have to bring him in. A deal would have to be made kind of last minute. They have all of these creative plans. Things are starting to be set in motion for WrestleMania now. Bringing Punk in now is going to, by default, force them to have to alter some of their creative plans for at least some of their talent, you would think, right? Because Punk now is going to have a presence in the Rumble. He's going to have a WrestleMania match. He's going to be doing all this stuff. And like I said, for the past few weeks, if I'm WWE, we are always in Chicago. So is AEW, for that matter. Both of those companies love Chicago. They'll be back. And they'll be back in just a few months. Who knows when the next show is there, but I guarantee it's before next summer. So it's not even that far away before a TV or a pay-per-view hits Chicago again. And when that happens, that could be your spot for CM Punk. I've mentioned the day after WrestleMania. Bring back Raws after Manias again. Make those important again, because they've sucked the past few years. You think back to 2012 when Brock came back and attacked Cena. That would be your CM Punk debut for me. It keeps him away from WrestleMania. The potential for him creating rifts in your locker room morale, taking a WrestleMania payday away from somebody. All of that you wouldn't have to worry about. You get through your WrestleMania season, you pay off your end goals, you crown your champions at WrestleMania, and then boom, the next night, hello, Phil is back. But you bring him back now, I feel like he would be shoehorned into Survivor Series. On the other side of that coin, the same reason I talked about Damian Priest being in such a perfect position to cash in because not a whole lot else is happening on Survivor Series, that same argument could be made to CM Punk. I will admit that fully, because if Damian Priest doesn't cash in tomorrow and we just get the men's War Games match and the women's War Games match, both will be great. And then those 3 mid-card matches with no title changes, and that's all we see, it's going to be a pretty weak Survivor Series. I feel like the only thing that's going to make, well, I guess the matches are going to be good. I think the matches have potential to be memorable. And I'm really hoping Cody, just for his dad, just tribute his dad. It'd be nice. So maybe Cody can have some moments and we can have some epic showdowns, stare downs, or situations in the cages themselves. But in terms of something major going down, it's either got to be Damian Priest winning the title or it's got to be CM Punk. And I just don't think it's going to be a CM Punk. And also Randy Orton returning as well, should be mentioned. So the scenario of CM Punk replacing Randy Orton is fucking stupid. They would not do that to Randy Orton. If they were going to do an injury angle with someone backstage where the 5th man gets attacked, they would just have it be Kevin Owens or any other babyface they can grab a hold of to put on the team last. That person gets attacked. CM Punk takes his place. It will not be Randy Orton to be the one to get attacked. Randy Orton is going to come out. He's going to appear. I think it's possible that Randy Orton could turn heel. Remember when Dakota Kai walked out of the cage and then she turned around and bam, and blasted, who was it, Tegan? Something like that. Randy Orton, I kind of thought Randy Orton would come out last. But if he doesn't, and there's like a Seth Rollins in the cage or something, and then he turns around and nails him, I don't know. I feel like Rollins has got to be in the War Games cage to drop the title potentially, but Randy Orton could play a role in that. Maybe he doesn't get along with his teammates. Maybe he hits Seth Rollins with an RKO out of frustration at the end of the match, and he leaves the ring, and then Damian Priest cashes in. All that can be factored in. But with CM Punk being at Survivor Series, it just feels like he honestly doesn't have a place other than showing up and getting the monster pop. And you know what? We already did that. Here's a prediction. It could be wrong, but here's a prediction. If CM Punk comes back to WWE, hypothetically he comes back, I don't believe it will be in Chicago. I don't believe that will be his first appearance. If I'm CM Punk, I want to preserve that, even though he probably hates AEW, hates Tony Khan and Jungle Jack and everybody else, that was special. That United Center return was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in 45 years of watching wrestling. It really was. It was that kind of heartwarming. I don't think that can be topped. I just don't. I mean, unless CM Punk wants to purposely erase that and create himself a new WWE memory, I don't know. I just feel like we got the big Punk in Chicago return. We got a lot of Punk in Chicago in AEW for that 2 years. It doesn't have to be Chicago. It doesn't. But if they want it to be Chicago, then they will be there again. And it won't be long before WWE's in that very same building for another major show. It'll happen real soon. So you have options. It doesn't have to be now. You know, they could, even if they're starting to talk to Punk. And now, like, what if just this morning Triple H realizes, okay, we could probably bring Phil in. I'm not rushing him tomorrow. We can hold him off a little longer. You know, Punk was gone for 8 years and people still chanted his name. He's not going to lose any of that internet buzz if you wait another month or wait until the Royal Rumble or wait until Raw after WrestleMania. You're not going to lose any of that buzz because people are never going to stop shutting up about CM Punk until he is too old to wrestle or just out of the game completely. But the way he left AEW, you feel like you got to expect him back somewhere, you know? And if WWE, I think WWE's kind of just sitting on it. They're kind of just weighing their options right now. Do we want to fuck with this guy again? I mean, look at the buzz, the crowd reaction he's going to bring. But like, what can he really give us athletically in the ring? WWE's roster is stupid with talent. You know, where does Punk athletically fit in? All Punk does is fit in as a personality, as a character, as a really well-known name, and a guy who's one of the best on the stick. You know, in the ring, what can he really do in there with Logan Paul? Ooh, that would be good. That would be good. Logan Paul versus CM Punk, WrestleMania. Think of the promos. Think of the things Punk would say to that boy. Oh, I would love to see that. So I changed my mind. I hope CM Punk does show up tomorrow at Survivor Series and kicks off a program with Logan Paul for the United States title. But I don't think he's coming in. And I think if I could give some grandpa advice to the wrestling community, stop being a douchebag. It's so easy to not be a douchebag. And the way I see people cutting each other's heads off over these ridiculous, snarky fucking opinions about CM Punk. Shut up, eat an Eskimo pie, watch the pay-per-view. He might be there, he might not. Either way, it has nothing to do with you. You know, if you're waiting to go jump on a journalist or go to proclaim to the world that you called it and you're right, you must not have much else to live for if that's what excites you. Because all this is a guessing game. It's just a guessing game. I don't got any more knowledge ricocheting around my skull, or at least current knowledge, than any of you, and vice versa. We all read the same internet. We all read the same websites. Some of us follow some pretty shitty Twitter accounts, where a lot of this misinformation and nonsense is coming from. You know, from these idiots who are jealous of others who do their job better than them and have all the following and the exposure, and they're mad and jealous about it, and they lash out and they make shit up. That's what all of this is derived from. Jealousy and anger and the desire to tear people down who are succeeding when you're not. That's all this is, and that's all it's ever been. And with Punk, I think people it should be really easy to kind of see, you know, because when you're not so dead set and have such a crazy dog in the fight one way or the other, and you're just looking at the facts and the evidence, it's pretty easy to ascertain that, yeah, Punk is probably not going to be at Survivor Series. You know, but shit, if he were to turn up tomorrow, we're going to be watching this live. I'll be the first one marking out. I will be losing my mind if he shows up. I'm not going to be mad that I predicted it wrong. No, I'm going to be like, holy shit, they actually did it. They brought him in. That's phenomenal. I can't believe they did it. I can't believe they did it. I would probably just keep repeating that. But I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't have to sign off Twitter because now a bunch of people are going to come at me for being wrong. You know, I'm like, I just said I didn't think he was coming, but maybe he is. I don't understand. Where's the dunk here? You know, we're all in the same boat, predicting the same shit. I just don't understand where these attitudes kind of online come from, because I just don't think you would ever talk to somebody's face like this. You know, just the way I see people being very aggressive about their feelings one way or the other. It's just strange to me that not enjoying the show wouldn't be your number one priority. You know, it's now everybody's going to be watching this thing just to see if Punk shows up or not, just so they can, you know, rush and throw shade at the people who they perceived as having it wrong on social media. It's a weird thing. Another big piece of evidence that fans are pointing to is Shinsuke Nakamura. Every last couple weeks on TV, he's been doing a backstage thing. Where are you? You're close. Come. He's got a target. He's been talking some shit. And when he first did this maybe 3 weeks ago, it felt like, to me anyway, I don't know about you guys, it felt like to me that he was talking to somebody in the War Games match. I thought he was talking to Cody. And I remember thinking, like, I don't know if I want a Cody and Nakamura program unless it's a time-killing program between now and the Royal Rumble. Get these guys on TV, maybe a match on Raw or something, maybe a big Raw main event to close out the year would be really fun. Then I'd be fine with it. But then, you know, we heard rumors of Kazuchika Okada, and WWE might be interested in bringing him in, which I would love if he did come in. Oh my God. And that would be weird because he probably has a Wrestle Kingdom match scheduled against Bryan Danielson that he's probably going to win since Danielson beat him. But let's say Okada is going to go to WWE and New Japan feels that way too. They might have him lose to Danielson again. I don't know. But if Okada showed up in WWE in 2024 or even 2025, that would be pretty badass. But I don't think Nakamura is talking about Okada because this would have to go on for another. I don't even know Okada's contract status. I haven't heard about it. I haven't read it. I'm sure it's out there. I just don't know what it is. But I don't think it's soon. I don't think Okada could wrap up business with New Japan and be in WWE by WrestleMania time. I just wouldn't think so. But maybe. So he could be talking about Okada. But a lot of fans think that he's talking about CM Punk. You're close. Survivor Series is in Chicago. CM Punk lives in Chicago. Regular detectives, these guys. Wow. Captain Obvious over here. Yeah, we know where Punk lives. He's very clear about that. Is he talking about Punk? Why? You know, unless, you know, the only way that would make sense, and I wouldn't want to see WWE treat Nakamura like this. We have seen times when wrestlers return to the company and they usually just beat up a heel. You know? Jericho came back, kind of had to work with JBL. There's like a million examples of this. I'm just having trouble thinking. You guys can rattle some off in the chat. But sometimes when somebody returns, they just come back. Batista beating Booker T. Good example there. Or no, Triple H. That's what I meant. Triple H coming back, beating Booker T. I don't think they would use Nakamura in that way, for him to be calling somebody out. And then what's he going to come out to the ring tomorrow at Survivor Series? I don't even think Nakamura's booked for the show. I don't even think we're going to see Nakamura tomorrow unless they run like a vignette commercial thing for him on Peacock. Unless they do that, I don't even know if we're really going to see Nakamura. But are fans expecting him to come out in the middle of the ring and call out CM Punk? If Punk was going to be called out by a heel, I don't think it's going to be Nakamura. I think it's going to be someone who can speak some fluent English. And I think Nakamura has been doing a really excellent job, or the WWE has, with him, having him communicate his feuds and his programs in the way that he's been doing it. Backstage or vignettes with subtitles. That's so good. I love Nakamura, but this is such an improvement in terms of him getting his shit over. And I just don't know if this would work well with CM Punk. Punk might be better served with somebody who can kind of back and forth with him on the mic a little bit when he returns. If there's a big confrontation in the ring, I feel like WWE would want Punk to talk, not wrestle only. They want him to do both or just talk, but not wrestle and not talk. You know what I mean? Unless they want to save his big promo, his return promo for Raw or something like that. The Nakamura calling out Punk thing doesn't seem realistic to me. So you've got Cody, you've got Okada, you've got CM Punk. One other name that I haven't seen many people talk about is AJ Styles. AJ Styles has been on the shelf for a while with an injury. We've been wondering where he is, when he's going to come back. Nakamura could be calling out AJ Styles. And if he was, that would be cool. Now, I think they're both on different brands. AJ, I believe, is on SmackDown, or did he get drafted to Raw? I don't even know where he is. But if he's on SmackDown, there might have to be a way for him to get over to Raw. Maybe that could be something tied in with, Cody's visit to Nick Aldis the other night on SmackDown, which we still don't know what that was about. But I think it might be about AJ Styles. And I don't think it's about CM Punk. And I don't think Punk is going to come back. So I don't think Nakamura is talking about CM Punk. I don't think Punk is going to be at Survivor Series, although I'm definitely open to some last minute thing being worked out and he shows up. But I'm also very confident that they are not going to do the deal where Randy Orton is attacked and then Punk replaces him. That would be so fucking stupid. Unless they came out to the song that the two of them shared. Whichever one that was. That would have been the CM Punk, like ECW song, that one. And I think Randy Orton used it for a short time. So maybe there's a connection there. Maybe, but fans are really looking for connections when there really aren't any. Punk it's even been heard from Punk's camp that he's not going to be there. He's just interested in being home with his family and his dog right now and all that stuff. So nothing to me is pointing to him being there. I think where a lot of this is coming from is the fans' obsession with wrestling media and the ones there are some god-awful garbage human beings out there in wrestling media, but for some reason, some of the ones that get the most hate are the ones that actually do a good job, which is bizarre. But that's wrestling. That's the IWC for you. So I don't think Punk's coming to Survivor Series, and that's that. We also have Ronda Rousey news. Actually, before we get into Ronda Rousey, let me cruise back here to the chat since I was talking a long time about CM Punk. But man, there's just been a lot of stuff about him all day long. And I'm like, man, I don't know if maybe I am reading a different internet. I don't see all of this evidence that everybody else sees. I think a lot of it is really based on what people want to happen and what is happening. Just a hard time grasping reality is what I think it is. But man, imagine if he showed up. Imagine. Oh man, rarely even. Thanks for the $2. He says Shinsuke versus Hurricane. Somebody totally random. That would be crazy. 5 more from you earlier. How funny would it be for Shinsuke to issue his open challenge and it's someone completely random? Maybe they'd have to do that on Raw though. I wouldn't do that at Survivor Series, especially if it's somebody completely random. But I feel like AJ Styles is a very likely possibility in that. Stone Cold 10X with 5. The only way I would see Punk coming in is if Roman was on the show and Punk was Roman's opponent at the Rumble. Right, yeah, if Roman was on the show or something, maybe. But even then, I just don't think it has to be Survivor Series. It doesn't have to be Chicago. We've had a lot of Punk in Chicago. It's okay. His return doesn't have to be there. I guess it would maximize the pop if it was. but Roman and Punk at the Rumble would be fun. And Punk, you go back and watch that match with Samoa Joe at All In. You could tell at the end of that he was saying goodbye. He said thank you and goodbye, and he even carried the belt away like Roman Reigns. Maybe as a tease to, hey, I'm going to go after the big dog or the tribal chief. Who knows? And I have a question. Where is that spray painted belt? Does CM Punk have possession of it? Is it an NWA type of thing or WCW type of thing where Tony Khan had to send legal letters to Punk, return our property? He probably just voluntarily mailed it back. Punk doesn't seem like somebody who would even want to. He's had enough legal battles in his life. He wouldn't even want to bother with that. Yeah, you want your belt back? Here, take it. I don't give a shit. But, you wonder, Ric Flair, 32 years ago, turning up on WWE TV with the real World's Heavyweight Championship. Punk could essentially do the same thing on WWE, but I think that would be open up all sorts of lawsuits and probably not a good idea. And who knows what he'll do if he ever shows up. And I'm wondering where that championship belt is. Don't even know. If he has it, reading some of these comments here, just bear with me as I'm scrolling through here because I have not looked at this in a few minutes. And that's a good way to put it. Shell shocked. A lot of the Punk stuff, and it's a shame too, because it feels like it's been 80% toxic discourse. That's it. There is an obsession in the wrestling community with the media. And I laugh, and I always point out Sean Ross Sapp because he's the best example of this, and how much hate he gets. And he's a shill. They can't decide whose pocket he's in. He's a shill for WWE one day, AEW the next, just like me. I get the same thing. And people are like all up his ass, and I've never had any. I read a lot of wrestling news because I have a fucking podcast and I have to talk about wrestling news. I've never once read anything from Sean or any of the staff over there at FightFul that I've found frustrating, inconsistent, irresponsible, anything like that. It's very easy to read. It's very professionally done. And where are the wrestlers complaining about this? Go over to FightFul. Sean Ross Sapp is interviewing fucking everybody, to Gunther, to Seth Rollins, to who the fuck ever in WWE. Everybody seems to like him. They all grant him interviews. They all talk to him. Nobody from that end is throwing shade. There's how many wrestlers are out there saying some of the vile, horrible stuff that the IWC is about him or anybody else in his position? None of them. It's all the angry, jealous people. Vince Russo, all mad. Why does he need a third name, bro? I'm like, you're just mad because he's deeper into business than you are, you irrelevant fuck. And I don't understand how jealousy can bring up so much negativity and hate in someone's soul. It cracks me up. And I'm like, look, when Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, when these guys start going on social media and talking about what a scumbag Sean Ross Sapp is, then maybe I'll listen. But this guy has a professional relationship with everybody in the business. The only people who are slinging hate are the losers. That's it. So show me when real people are actually accusing and making valid accusations towards him or anybody else like that, and I will listen. But that has been one of the craziest parts of this whole CM Punk stuff, is how uppity people are getting about specifically Fightful's reports, but not just them. I mean, it's other people too. Oh, you're going to look like you're silly when you had it wrong. I'm like, they never had it wrong. What the fuck are you reading? I know I already ranted on this a minute ago, but my God, I'm like, fans will just believe whatever they want. They just make up their own ideas and go from there and just decide to believe what they're going to believe, regardless of everything that they believe is provably untrue because it's in black and white, plain ink print. You can read it with your eyes. So I just don't understand why reading's hard. I don't understand why reading's hard. It's very easy for me. Is it easy for you guys? I mean, how hard is it really? It's very difficult for some of these people. Let's talk about our old friend Ronda Rousey. So Ronda, that match that she taped last Friday on Collision before the pay-per-view, or on the Collision tapings for Ring of Honor, aired on Honor Club. And it was Ronda and Marina Shafir defeating Billy Starks and Athena. Now, cameras caught a backstage candid conversation afterwards between Marina and Ronda that I laughed my ass off I should say, because they were talking, and I guess it was a way to explain that Ronda was just kind of passing through. It doesn't sound like she signed a deal with AEW or Ring of Honor. Definitely sounds like she could turn back up there, but I don't think any deal is in place right now. And I think the point of the cameras catching these two in this conversation was for Ronda to say to Marina, hey, I'm not going to be here all the time. Hey, I live in the area. I stopped by. I thought I might as well stop by since I live here. She was basically saying the only reason she was kind of there is because it was in LA. And then you have to watch this to be able to try to understand what I'm talking about. They have this little exchange where Rhonda talks like she's a high school girl. And she's like, "You're my best fucking friend." And oh my God, I totally swore. She said something like that. Just the way remember she had that like flub up in the ring on SmackDown. I think she was talking about her SummerSlam match. And she just mumbled her line. It's like Royal Rumble. Oh, wait, what's that? SummerSlam. Like she said Rumble by accident, then she said SummerSlam. It was just this mumbly mess of weirdness. And it was kind of like that. Like the way she just talked or spoke was the way I would expect like a 16-year-old high school kid to talk to her friend. And they're just acting stupid. No wonder. See, now when I see Rhonda in like a normal environment and just listen to her and shit, I'm like, okay, I guess I can understand why she believes all that Sandy Hook conspiracy nonsense, because you have to kind of be stupid to believe that stuff, and maybe she is. So just that whole conversation was the cringiest fucking thing I've ever seen, but it was, I guess, a way to explain why Rhonda, she's not coming in and signing a deal. She might still be just thinking about stuff. But I thought it was cool she was there. It's probably a trip for Billy Starks and Athena to be able to work with her, and that's a big name to be in Ring of Honor. But when she came out, there was a lot of boos apparently in the live crowd last week. And a lot of people on social media were pretty vocal that they're kind of over Ronda and they don't really need her or have any desire to see her in the pro wrestling business. I'm indifferent. Yes, I think she's a fucking idiot, but I also had a lot of great things to say about Ronda when she first came into WWE and how quickly she adapted, picked it up. And she had that great WrestleMania match against Stephanie and Triple H, whatever that was. And, went on to main event the next year. And she was very similar to Kurt Angle in my mind in terms of somebody that was able to get in the ring and just kind of get it, and she got it. And then she left, had the baby. And when she came back, that second run that kind of started fizzling out at the end of her first run, when she turned heel, told us all it was all fake and shit like that. Fans immediately turned on her then. I still wasn't up her ass yet. I didn't care about that. She was a heel doing heel shit. No big deal. But then, just the luster was lost after that. And then when she came back at the Rumble and she won it, and I'm like, I don't need any of this. And it really did feel like she was just coming in to fulfill that year that she still had left on that contract. And that was it. And that turned out to be pretty much what it was. She was there, did her thing, left, put over Shayna Baszler, and was gone. So if she stays in wrestling, I'd have no problem with her being in Ring of Honor because it can't hurt. Ring of Honor is already, I don't even know what's going to be happening with their championship, which we'll talk about in a minute. But at this point, with the state of Ring of Honor, Ronda's presence there isn't going to hurt the company. Or the brand. It's already almost non-existent. Just a whole bunch of championships. That's all. So if she came in every now and then, or signed a short-term deal, or signed on to do 5 matches a year, something like that, I don't see the harm in that, even though I'm not a big Ronda Rousey fan. So that's where I stand with Ronda Rousey. I don't have anybody to credit here because I don't know where the story originated, but apparently there is some news of Jay White being a little bit unhappy about his match with MJF at Full Gear, how it went and how it was built up. I think the build was fine. Jay White looked strong as hell. He held the Triple B for weeks on TV, but one of the main criticisms I did see about the pay-per-view, about Full Gear, was how it made Jay White look. Did it make him look weak? I personally didn't think it did. But if somebody has that argument, like, I can at least understand where they're coming from. This isn't like the CM Punk stuff where I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? At least this, I'm like, okay, that's fair. I see why a fan would think that. And I wouldn't necessarily even think that's wrong. It's just I don't personally, it didn't diminish Jay White for me, And plus, Jay White now being in the Continental Classic, some guys know how to play the political game. And I think if I'm somebody in AEW, I think Dax Harwood is doing this, and anybody else that just kind of has a little bit of experience in how to play political games and Jedi mind trick, things like that. And Tony Khan is somebody that at this stage of his career as a booker is still very early. He's still wet behind the ears. He still makes mistakes. He kind of books like a mark, which is fine, really. I don't care about that. But I feel like he might be a little bit easy to manipulate, because how deeply he cares and how passionate he is, and Jay White, hey, maybe if I make a stink about this match, Tony Khan will feel bad and he'll make me the winner of the Continental Classic. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where that was, because Jay White shouldn't be that unhappy with, he got a main event title match at a pay-per-view. This is MJF's run that he's on right now. I don't think they were going to take the belt off of MJF regardless of who his opponent was at Full Gear. Didn't matter who it was. MJF's going to keep rolling. So I don't think that it's a bad thing that you were in the main event. I think maybe it's just kind of how he lost. It might be the issue there, but it's probably a non-issue, a non-story, because I don't think it's really going to harm Jay White at all in the long run. And who knows, he could come out of that Continental Classic looking pretty good. And there's some crazy matchups in this thing, man. We're going to talk about that here next. Let me hit my boy, Chris Ludek. Sorry I missed you in LA. Really still bummed I didn't go to Full Gear, but I think I'm going to definitely try to make Double or Nothing work in Vegas, because I really want to see that Sphere, man. I got to see it with my own eyes. I can't wait till WWE holds a show there. I will be there for that. But Chris, good to see you, man. Appreciate the $5 from you. Rhonda was very impressive, because to get as good as she got as fast, or that fast, shows dedication. Like with an angle, any previous grappling experience gives a leg up. Exactly. Yeah, she's got she's already got a foot in the door just with the type of combat she's already done, just like Kurt Angle. And Rhonda already had some wrestling ties. Gene LaBelle and Roddy Piper and all of that. So she fit right in like a glove. And go back and listen to my podcast and my commentaries from back then. I am all about Rhonda. I loved her. I was just impressed as hell. I'm like, oh, what a get. This woman had a big name in the UFC, and now that she got her ass kicked a couple times and she's out of that game, what a natural transition to come into wrestling. She's got a great look, and she's good in the ring. Can't talk worth of shit, but Brock couldn't really talk that well either for a while. So you don't need to speak if you're an ass kicker. And I thought she was awesome. And I just thought she did so well. So it was kind of disappointing how it all kind of faded away. And then you learn things about her in her personal life and how fucking dumb she is. And that just kind of puts a sour taste in your mouth about someone, So I wouldn't care if she believed in aliens or being it's like AJ Styles wants to believe the earth is flat. Fine. Go ahead. That's harmless. But there's other stupid conspiracies that people can believe that are harmful. And that's one of them, that Sandy Hook shit. So just immediately kind of puts a sour taste in your mouth. You don't really want much to do with her. But I'll always try to judge her work in the ring fairly. And she had a good little match in Ring of Honor. So anything to help that brand, I'm in favor of. And it doesn't seem like the talent really had much of an issue with her being there either. So we'll see what Rhonda does. But yeah, she really transitioned quickly once she got into WWE. Let's talk about this past week's AEW Dynamite. What a nutso show. We're not going to get too much in detail here, but I do want to talk about the Continental Classic. Now, the Continental Classic was announced, I think, at Full Gear or the week before on TV. I forgot when, by Tony Khan, and announced that it would be a round-robin tournament and probably their answer to the G1 Climax. They did kind of like a selection show with Tony and Tony, with the two Tonys on YouTube, and might have been somewhere else. It's on YouTube right now. It's about 30 minutes long, and it's where they reveal the groups. So there's going to be two groups here, a gold group and a blue group, and this is going to be round robin style. So everybody in their group will wrestle each other. And then you have a point system and all that. So it's that type of deal. And they've revealed in this who the groups are, who's in each group. So here's who we got. In the gold group, it's going to be Jay White, Jay Lethal, Mark Briscoe, Roosh, Moxley, and Swerve. Jay White, Jay Lethal, Mark Briscoe, Roosh, Moxley, Swerve. In the blue group, we have Brody King, Claudio, Andrade, Daniel Garcia, Bryan Danielson, and Eddie Kingston. This is where it gets confusing. At Full Gear, Eddie did a promo. He said that he wants to change the game, or he wants to do something. And he basically says that he's going to defend his New Japan Strong and Ring of Honor world titles, which he holds simultaneously, in every match in the tournament. And also made it sound like that means, like, at the end of the tournament, that person will win all the titles. And I'm like, well, how the fuck is that going to work? Because you wrestle lots of matches. This isn't like one and you're out. You wrestle a bunch of matches. You can have multiple losses in this thing. Are you going to hot potato this belt all the way around the entire field? Is that what's going to happen here? Because Eddie, I guess technically, right, he could win the title, or he could drop the title in the tournament and then like win it back later. If the person he dropped it to then loses it to somebody else and then he wrestles that person, you know what I mean? So like, I feel like that would not make any sense. In the selection show, Tony Khan kind of tried to clarify this a little bit, although not very well. He said that Eddie Kingston's titles would not be on the line in every match. So I don't know if that just means it's his first match or what that means. So basically, if Eddie Kingston loses the title, or loses the titles, because I guess they're both going to be on the... See, the problem I have with this is it's unnecessary. Do we need this convolution, this confusion? Just do the fucking tournament, Tony Khan. What is going on? So all this shit is almost like kind of frustrating because I don't think any of this Eddie Kingston belt shit is necessary at all. So Tony Khan tries to clarify. He says that Eddie's titles won't be on the line in every match, but I don't know what that means either. So if Eddie Kingston loses, I guess he maybe made it sound like if Eddie Kingston loses, that the titles will be vacated. The titles will be vacated, and then maybe whoever wins the tournament becomes, the way Tony Khan worded it, a Triple Crown champion. And they had on the desk there, by the way, with Tony Khan and Shivani, they had the Ring of Honor World and the New Japan Strong. In the middle, they had the Continental Classic belt that had a cover over it, like a, what's it called? Little velvet thing. It was draped over. It was draped in velvet. Underneath there was a little tiny miniature George Costanza. So they have the belt in the middle, which they never revealed, so we haven't seen it. They're probably going to save that for the pay-per-view when they crown the new champion. But now you're also merged. What does that mean for the future of the Ring of Honor World Championship? First of all, they're already merging it with a New Japan title, which I'm guessing that's okay. Did New Japan give a blessing on that to do that? So the New Japan is already going to be merged with the Ring of Honor, or the New Japan Strong with the Ring of Honor World as it is. Then those two are also going to be merged with the Continental Classic. I mean, I guess at least this simplifies some titles. You get rid of one or two, I guess, or just one. Yeah, get rid of one and replace another with the other one. So I guess is the new Continental Champion, which is going to be the Triple Crown, AEW Triple Crown Champion. Are they now going to act as the Ring of Honor World Champion? Like, what happens to the Ring of Honor title? Is the Continental Classic winner going to be walking out with 3 belts? Or are they actually merging all of these? This kind of is putting a little bit of a cloud over this tournament, which I'm really interested in, because I don't think you need any of this. There must be a plan here. They must have some sort of end game. With all of this talent in the tournament, I can't imagine Eddie Kingston winning this thing. I don't want him to. I think Bryan Danielson should win it, and they should treat it the same way WWE treated King of the Ring 1993, and they gave it to Bret Hart. And he was the number 1 seed, kind of how like Danielson was the first one announced for the tournament. And then you'll have plenty of other years to give it to your Garcias and your younger folks, and maybe even your Swerves. But now with Swerve in the match, who had a huge win at the pay-per-view, right, in the group, along with Jay White, who had a huge loss at the pay-per-view, I could see both of those guys winning it. I could see Moxley winning it. I could see Danielson winning it. I feel like it's down to Jay White, Swerve, Moxley, and Danielson. Those would be my top ones. But the fact that Eddie is in there with his belts and those are tied in somehow, I don't even know how all this works. There's no Takeshita in this thing, no Malachi Black, lots of other names that could have been in here. And if it was up to me, I wouldn't have put Eddie in this at all. I love Eddie Kingston, but this is just confusing it for me. Maybe you guys fully grasp what's going on here, and maybe this isn't hard to follow. I'm just being stupid or something, but to me, it's kind of adding unnecessary confusion to a tournament that should be really exciting. And that's going to dominate TV because there's a lot of matches that need to be had here. And this pay-per-view is in about a month at the end of December. So we had a bunch of gold matches here on Dynamite, and tomorrow on Collision, we get some Blue Group matches. Not Blue Man Group, but Blue Group. Domination Warrior throwing in $2 into the cookie jar. Thanks, dude. Do you whoop that trick or swerve when you drive? Both, I think. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I try not to be too white here, but I think I do both. Pretty sure. Nice. Juliet's back. But thanks again for being here as always. Domination. Oh, Martin, you're going to be at World's End. Nice. That's fun. That's going to be in MJF's neck of the woods, way, way far away from me here in San Diego, California. But let's talk about Dynamite. We had some, I almost said Cruiserweight Classics because I have them marked here as CC. Continental Classic matches. Swerve Strickland opened up the show, beating Jay Lethal. So he now earns, I think, 3 points. And that was the opening match. Then we got the big MJF promo. So this is MJF promo. He has Adam Cole with him. So Adam Cole is still hanging around, not tanned, unshaven, looks a mess. Comes out there with MJF. He's got the crutches. They get in the ring. Cole sits down. MJF gets on the mic, gives props to Jay White for a hard-fought match, and said that Jay White is made a believer out of him. And then he kind of turns his attention to the devil. And he goes, whoever the motherfucker is wearing my mask, I'm going to find you. I'm going to destroy you. And then the devil appears back on the screen. So we got Adam Cole in the ring. Devil appears on the screen. And all we got was a laugh. Ha, 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 ha. That's it. Everybody thought that meant it's for sure Jack Perry. That's Jack Perry for sure. Well, I listened to the laugh. And I'm not completely sold that that's Jack Perry. It didn't sound anything like him to me, but it could be. We've talked about Jack Perry being the devil many times, and it would kind of make sense and fit. So I'm not saying it's not Jack Perry, but that laugh is not what convinced me that it's Jack Perry. We'll see more evidence on that. And apparently, Fightful Selected reported a week or so back that whoever, or the people who are going to be portraying these roles are, in fact, the ones under the masks and the hoods right now. So, if you study them enough, we might be able to figure out who some of these people are. Maybe they're going to grab a group of them who aren't doing anything. Your Ethan Pages, who just became a U.S. resident. Congratulations to him. Wardlow. Anybody else that's just out there, kind of not floating in the AEW universe that needs to be brought back down. Stick them in there. We don't know. But I think the devil reveal, I don't know when we're going to get that. I didn't think we'd get it at Full Gear. We might get it at World's End. That might play a role into MJF losing the title. At this point, I think the devil kind of has to play a role in MJF losing the title. And if AEW plans on the devil being Adam Cole, there's that you still can't rule him out because the argument can be made that the devil on the screen was just recorded and it wasn't real or it wasn't live. Until there's some real evidence that Cole is not the devil, it still feels like it's going to be Cole, which means this has to stretch on a lot longer because Cole is still injured. And at this point, unless they're doing the biggest work of all time, that injury is legit, and he's not going to magically pop out of that shoe brace and the crutches there and be able to walk with no problem. So if it's going to be Cole, they have some time to kill. Jack Perry would be a reveal that you could do soon. You could do that one soon. Maybe a Jack Perry and MJF match and program is what comes out of this, but we'll find out. And whenever that happens, it could be World's End. And speaking of World's End, that match is now set. Samoa Joe, right after the devil stops laughing, he comes down to the ring. He wants his match. He wants Max to make good on his part of the agreement. He helped him retain the Ring of Honor tags. That means he owes him a title match. And Max tells Samoa Joe that his breath smells like a skunk's asshole, which I'm wondering how MJF knows what a skunk's asshole smells like. Only one way to find out. And then he says, in response to your championship request, he says, blow me. And that's when Adam Cole gets on the mic and he says, Max, the new Max would say yes. This is old Max. And he encourages MJF to take the match. Be a man of your word. You're my best friend. I trust you, or I believe in you. Do the right thing here. Give the man his match. And I felt like Cole was in a vulnerable position there too, because Samoa Joe is remorseless. And what would be stopping the Samoa Joe character from just picking Adam Cole up by his neck and say, give me the title shot or your friend dies? Because Cole can't do anything. He's got one leg. All Samoa Joe would have to do is just casually, as MJF's talking, walk around to the back of Adam Cole. And then as soon as that, and when MJF doesn't give him the match, you just yank him right up and come any closer, I end him, snap his neck. This is your best friend. And then MJF has to, okay, I'll give you the match. This was Cole encouraging Max to take the match, and babyface Max ended up doing it. Gives Samoa Joe the match. They set it for World's End, which is in, I believe, New Jersey, or no, Long Island. I'm sorry, it's on Long Island. I couldn't remember if it was New Jersey or Long Island, which I believe is where MJF beat Punk. Was that where that one of their matches was on Long Island there? So he's going to be facing Joe for the title, and that could be where you do the devil reveal. If you want to do it now and get the belt off of MJF right before the beginning of the year, putting it on Samoa Joe would be great, because what's great about Joe is he can always just be warmed back up and reheated like a delicious leftover lasagna, and he can always deliver. And I really hate that he had to lose that match to CM Punk, in a match that Punk knew was going to be his last. I really hate that match has to exist now in the record books of Samoa Joe losing to Punk, if the plan is to make him a bona fide main eventer. And I think that if he went through the trouble of forfeiting another championship to become the AEW World Champion, is this something he can fall short on? You know, Tony Khan, we know, is a big fan. He probably loves Samoa Joe. Many years ago, I incorrectly predicted a main event between Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar at the same event that I stole my podcast logo from. Great Balls of Fire. Remember? It was 2017. It was Brock. It was Joe. And I predicted in the predictions, I said, I would do it. Let's belt up Joe. He's believable. He always has been. It's time to give this man his flowers. And I predicted him to beat Brock Lesnar like a fool. Like a fool. Brock Lesnar just got squashed 7 months earlier by Goldberg. It wasn't that out of the realm of possibility to me for him to lose here to Samoa Joe. Plus, they'd be making another main eventer in Joe, and it didn't happen. And Samoa Joe never really got his WWE due. He was NXT champion, and we know he's been Ring of Honor champion. I feel like Tony Khan would want to put the belt on Samoa Joe. And if there's any heel, because that's what I love about Gunther, and that's what I always loved about Brock. I loved heels that can still kick ass and that don't have to be cowardly and chicken shit and all of that. And Joe is that perfect type of heel. He's the perfect type of heel to take the belt away from MJF, because Samoa Joe has no heart and he does not give a fuck at all. And he will do whatever he has to do, and not feel a lick of remorse afterwards, in terms of what he'll do to become champion. And I think that if they wanted to make Samoa Joe the world champion and he wins at World's End, I'd be perfectly fine with that. I would love to see Samoa Joe's name on the AEW world title lineage. He seems to be in pretty decent health right now, hasn't lost a lot of time, and we know the stage of where Samoa Joe's career is. I think it's very plausible that he's realized, if I'm ever going to be a world champion, I got to do it in the next year or two. I got this Ring of Honor thing. I don't want it. Maybe this was his pitch to Tony, or maybe was Tony's pitch to him. Let's do this now while we have an option. You're healthy. Everything's fine with you. You're here. You're doing good work. You're on TV regularly. You're still over. Everybody fully respects Joe, whether he's a face or a heel. Fans have that respect for him. He'd be a good fit. He'd be fine. I'd be also fine with MJF carrying the title into 2024 and holding it for 3 or 4 months, or 3 or 4 more months. Maybe drop it at Revolution. Maybe drop it at Double or Nothing to Wardlow, which would be fun. 2 years or 3 years, I guess 3 years after the match. That would be cool too. But Samoa Joe being the guy to take it from him at World's End, from where we sit today, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But we'll see how it all plays out. So many variables. You got the Masked Men, you got the Devil Mask, you got Wardlow, you got Adam Cole, you got Roddy still running around there. Incidentally, later on in the show, Adam Cole would tell Roddy to back off, leave him alone, and that he's not his best friend anymore. And I don't know if you guys saw last Friday on Collision. Super close call with Roderick Strong. I think he was in a match with Action Andretti. And I don't know if they went for a Spanish fly or what, but he landed right on his head. Right in the middle of this Neck Strong story. Neck Strong for real, because his head survived that blow because his neck is strong. But that would have been wrestling storyline just instantly becoming reality. Like neck brace, wheelchair, the whole thing. So grateful that he survived that, because that was a really nasty bump. If you haven't seen it, go look at it. If you're squeamish, be careful. It's a miracle that Roddy walked out of that in one piece. This match was so fun on Dynamite. The three champions, Orange Cassidy, Hook, and Shibata, defeating 2.0 and Jake Hager. Danhausen returned finally on TV, got the pop of the night. Great to see Danhausen back. He even put on Jake Hager's little purple hat. But the finish was a lot of fun. Orange Cassidy came in with an orange punch to Hager as Hook put the red rum on Bernard, and Shibata put a rear choke on Parker. And then they switched and they tossed each other. Hook and Shibata tossed each other, their opponents, hooked them in their finishers, and the champs all basically win simultaneously. That was a really fun match. The segment of the week had to be Christian Cage rechristening Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne, renaming them, giving them new names in a wonderful segment on TV. 1 second, I got to answer this text real quick. There we go. That was one I couldn't ignore. But they advertised this as Christian going to bring these guys in the ring and rename them, give them new names, rechristen them, baptize them, whatever. And they come out, and Christian is he is so fantastic. He is so fantastic. Unbelievably amazing heel, this guy. He starts running down Luchasaurus because, by the way, they lost at Full Gear to Sting Darby and Adam Copeland. And he says that he and Nick Wayne didn't lose. Luchasaurus lost. And he starts running down Luchasaurus, telling him to take a knee. Kneel down. Kneel before me. And at first, Lucha doesn't want to do it. Christian forces him to. He kneels down and he just calls him a loser. Every time I think of the name Luchasaurus, I'm going to think of it as a loser, or think of you as a loser, or whatever he said. So he said it's time to rename him. And I'm going to rename you my finisher. And he calls him Kill Switch. So apparently that is legitimately going to be Luchasaurus' new name, Kill Switch. They even went through the trouble of changing it on AEW's website. So he's now going to be called Kill Switch. And then he tells Kill Switch to continue to kneel, turns his attention to Nick Wayne, and Nick Wayne, with no hesitation, just immediately kneels. But Christian says, get up. Don't ever get on your knees for another person, is what he just told Nick Wayne. He goes, you're better than that. And he said that Christian loves him and that he's a golden boy, and his decision is to rename him the Prodigy Nick Wayne. So that's now going to be his, little nickname, the Prodigy Nick Wayne. And that prompts Nick Wayne's mom to come out. She comes out, and Christian calls her a terrible mother who makes $30,000 a year as a waitress at Denny's. He even told her to get out of the ring because her shift at Denny's is probably starting and she needs to clock in. He's the best. He also said that he can give Nick Wayne the world and she never could. And he said it's a good thing that Nick Wayne's father is dead, because Nick would disown him anyway. Because once he met me, he would see I'm so much better than his dad, and he'd wind up disowning him. So it's just a good thing that he's dead. Moment of silence for the beauty that is Christian Cage. My God. Finally, Luchasaurus kind of has enough of this. He gets up and he stands in front of Christian and gets in between Christian and the mom. And that's when Christian tells Luchasaurus to get on his knees again. Luchasaurus won't do it. He then pushes Luchasaurus, who then falls back into Nick Wayne's mom, who takes a spill. And that's when, oh, this is so bad. That's when Nick runs out to the ring. He goes under the ring. He retrieves 2 chairs, and they are going to concerto Nick Wayne's mom. I will repeat that. They are going to concerto Nick Wayne's mom. And not only are they going to do that, Christian's going to force Luchasaurus to do it, or Killswitch to do it. So he gives Killswitch the chair and he says, do it. And, Lucha, Killswitch, whatever you want to call him, he's hesitated. Obviously, he's eventually going to turn on Christian here, but he didn't kneel right away. Then he stood up and then he backed down again. And now Christian's forcing him to brain this poor woman in the middle of the ring. He's really going to do this, and he almost does. And then finally, Adam Copeland's music hits. He comes out. He spears Nick Wayne immediately. He disposes of Luchasaurus. He's got Christian trapped, but he's able to escape. Lucha pulls out Christian, and I think they retreat up the ramp, leaving Nick Wayne in the ring all by himself with his mom and Adam Copeland. And Copeland takes Nick Wayne, puts him down on the chair, and with his mom watching in the corner, delivers, and I'm not lying here, I think the best concerto I've ever seen. The best concerto I've ever seen. It looks so good. I mean, it was the angle. It was perfectly done. I'm sure there's been good ones, but sometimes you can tell he's not really hitting it that well. And WWE shaky-ass cameras, are always really hard to tell what's really going on. This was so perfectly placed and timed, and the little twitch that Nick Wayne did, it looked real as hell, and I just thought it was great. Best concerto Greg's ever seen. If I'm wrong about that, let me know better ones, but go back and watch that one on Dynamite. Marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. And as Nick Wayne's mom watched on, this is a wild segment. They were about to concerto a mother, and then she has to watch her own son have it done to her. And Christian is just this exquisite asshole, abusive to, his stablemates, especially Luchasaurus. And that's going to wind up leading to Luchasaurus finally being fed up. But he's been putting up with a lot here. Christian first held his title the whole time and then won the title in the triple threat. And now he's abusive towards him and stuff. Eventually, Luchasaurus is probably going to get fed up with that. And maybe if Jungle Boy or Jack Perry is not the devil, maybe he could come back and rescue Luchasaurus from Christian or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But that was a great segment. Jay White defeated Rush in a Continental Classic match. So Jay White right back on the winning trail immediately on the next TV, beating, no slouch in Rush there, and gets an early win there in the Continental Classic. Loved the Toni Storm Academy Award spoof accepting her championship. RJ City and Renee Paquette announced the AEW Women's World Champion like it's a winner. They open the envelope. Timeless Toni Storm. And she gets up and she's all shocked. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know I was going to win. It's all in black and white. It's great. She reads off her little thank you card. Mariah May comes out and brings her flowers and gives, I think they give her the belt, and then she gives the belt to Luther, and she puts the glasses on. I didn't know I was going to win. I wasn't prepared. And then she pulls out a little note card anyway. And she's like, I would like to thank whoever trained me and the fans and the women in the locker room, yada, yada, yada. It was pretty funny. It was only about an 8-minute segment, but it was great. My only question about this, though, even though I'm glad Toni Storm won the title, she's the best thing going right now in the women's division in AEW, isn't losing the title why she turned into this person in the first place, though? Like, isn't that what made her crazy? She lost the title, and it damaged her so badly that she's turned into this alter ego. Well, now that she has the championship back, I almost think it would be fun if she turned back into normal Toni Storm as the champ. Well, fans might not like that. They like this character, but I do wonder now, since the whole cause of her being who she is now is because she lost the title, she's now won it back. Wouldn't that reverse some of the process maybe, and she'd start getting a little bit normal again? I don't know how that's going to work now that she's champion again. Might have had her chase a little while longer to bleed more fun out of this, but I don't know. But she did a great job in that thing. She is so great. I'm the biggest Toni Storm fan in the world right now. Sky Blue defeated Anna Jay and Ruby Soho in a triple threat. They did some Ruby and Angelo Parker stuff. She fell into his arms or got knocked off the apron and kind of fell on him. They both liked it a lot, and Sky Blue got the win in that. And in the main event, very awesome Continental Classic match, Jon Moxley against Mark Briscoe. This one was fun. Bloody. Briscoe got pretty bloody. Survived a Death Rider even. Moxley got the win in the end with a second Death Rider, I believe. Really fun main event. Show of respect at the end. Mark Briscoe needs more TV time. This is not sympathy TV time. This guy's genuinely over. Fans like him. I like him. More Mark Briscoe, please, because that was all kinds of fun on Wednesday. So pretty good episode of Dynamite. All sorts of crazy shit going on. And that Christian segment, I'm never going to forget that for the rest of my life. That was so awesome. We got to predict Survivor Series now because I got to be heading out to work in just a few minutes. Let's get into the Survivor Series card. Only 5 matches unless they tack one on. SmackDown goes live in 25 minutes, so they might add one more here. Incidentally, on SmackDown tonight, it's Damian Priest and Finn Balor defending their tag team titles against the Street Profits. I believe that we could see Priest and Balor drop the titles. I wouldn't be surprised if Priest and Balor lose the titles. That, kind of down swings their momentum going into Survivor Series. Maybe a little blame game tomorrow before War Games about the reason they lost, and there's some dissension in the ranks. Then they go into War Games, not a cohesive unit, and lose again. And then somehow at the very end of the show, Damian Priest figures out a way to cash in and he wins the title. So it's like they shed the tag teams. They get rid of the tag team. Damian Priest sheds everything 48 hours before winning the title. Gets rid of the tags, gets rid of his briefcase. Now he's the world champion. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But let's start with Carlito versus Santos Escobar. I'm picking Santos Escobar. I don't know why this match is not on SmackDown. It's on the pay-per-view. Carlito versus Santos. Santos will be the guy. Women's War Games match. Actually, let's save that one. Let's do the singles matches first. Santos over Carlito. Rhea Ripley defending her Women's World Championship against Zoe Stark. I think this has potential to be a fun little match, and Zoe really maybe even giving Rhea a little bit of a run for her money, but she is not winning this championship at all. No way in hell. Rhea Ripley beats Zoe Stark. I think this is going to be a good test for Zoe. She's already been tested and already passed in my mind, but this little pit bull, she has a good showing here against Rhea Ripley, could mean a lot for her future. She's just not going to win the title tomorrow. Neither is The Miz, who is challenging Gunther for the Intercontinental title. Miz, I have to give mad credit to WWE. When they first turned him babyface a few weeks ago, I said, nah, we've already seen this. He's mediocre as a heel, mediocre as a face. I don't give a shit about him one way or the other, really. And I don't know how this is going to work. And if it does work, it's going to take some time to get the fans on the Miz's side. 3 weeks it took. That's it. I was wrong. I didn't think Miz would have any interest from the audience as a babyface again. I thought the fans might even reject him as a legitimate challenger to Gunther, but that's anything but the case. And the little segment they had on Monday Night Raw was fantastic. And Miz kind of got the upper hand there, putting Gunther down, and of course, picked up the title and held it up on the go-home show, which you know what that means. It means he's not going to win. And Gunther will retain the IC title over The Miz in a match that I think is going to be way better than I initially thought. I even released a mic drop like 3 weeks ago about how I didn't want to see this match because who gives a shit? Now I kind of want to see the match. WWE made me care. So did The Miz, so did Gunther. But that's the difference between Vince being here and not being here. And that's so awesome. Women's War Games match. We've got Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Shotzi taking on Damage Control. Becky Lynch in there again. They did the same thing last year, I think, with her, right? Sticking her in there at the last minute with the baby faces. Damage Control's pretty strong right now. It's Io Sky, it's Bayley, it's Asuka, and who else? Why am I forgetting? Oh yeah, and Kairi Sane. Everybody knows that Bayley is going to eventually be booted out of Damage Control. There's going to be some sort of a segment on TV where Bayley is in the ring beaten and Charlotte or Becky or both help her up and dust her off. We got you, girl. It would be great if one more woman was there too, but that's probably not going to happen, but that would be great. I don't think that visual is going to happen tomorrow. I think that's going to be saved for TV, maybe even next Friday after Survivor Series, but I don't think it's going to happen in the Women's War Games match itself. I actually think the heels are going to win. I think Damage Control is going to win. The reason I feel that way is because Shotzi is in this match. And I think that's your ticket to a Damage Control victory is Shot. I love Shotzi, don't get me wrong, but she's just not a main event caliber star on the roster right now. And if you need somebody to take that pin or take that loss or take that surrender, however the fuck it works, she should be the one. So I think Damage Control will win here. Maybe Bayley won't be much of a factor in the win, and that kind of begins the process of getting her out of there, but it feels like she's going to be ousted and maybe picked up by the women. And I've talked about Mercedes. You know, we haven't heard much about Mercedes Moné, but I would love it if she just randomly popped back up in WWE. I'm back. Sasha Banks is back. That stupid Moné song is gone, and I'm back as Sasha Banks. The 4 horsewomen are here. We're going to have ourselves a WrestleMania match this year. Maybe the 4 of us will be in a War Games team against somebody else next year. I would love Sasha Banks to come back, but she's probably not. But if she did, that would be really great as a part of helping Bayley in a babyface run. We're going to get babyface Bayley back, and I'm curious how that's going to be, if she's going to go full-blown hugger or if she's going to be a new babyface Bayley. I don't know, but we are probably just a matter of weeks away from baby Bayley, and we haven't seen that in many years, so it's going to be cool. And that leaves us with the men's War Games match. Cody, Seth, Sammy J, and Randy taking on the Judgment Day, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, JD McDonough, Dominic, and Drew McIntyre. Like I said, I feel like the baby faces are going to win here. Drew McIntyre's involvement in this, the little bit of, ego in Judgment Day, Priest and Drew now on this team, both kind of are going to feel like they're the leader. Priest and Rhea have had small conversations and slight disagreements. If they are setting in motion, getting Priest out and replacing him with Drew, that could be a part of this. McIntyre also wants Jey Uso. That's his focus right now, so he's in a cage with Jey. He might not even be a factor really in the end of this thing, but I think the baby faces should win and capitalize on problems within Judgment Day. JD really hasn't been trusted the whole time. Only recently he's had issues. Balor and Priest have even had their snits. Drew is an outside factor. He's an outsider coming in that they're not used to. Feels like there's way more problems on that side. But on the babyface side, you got the wild card in the Viper Randy Orton. And I definitely feel like there is a possibility that he could go heel on his team. And his heel turn could somehow be tied into maybe Rollins losing that title. If he RKOs him or something at the end of that match out of frustration or whatever, and allowing Damian Priest to win the title, that means Rollins and Orton could now be set for a program. Could be Randy Orton, Seth Rollins again. I'd be into that in 2023, sure, or 2024. So they could do it that way. If Randy stays babyface and he stays on the team the whole time, then yeah, I definitely think the babyfaces are going to win here. I think the heels could win if you do have a Randy Orton turn of some kind. But like I've been saying all along, one of the big reasons why I think the babyfaces will win is because I think Damian Priest could cash in and win the title. And I've already talked about my whole scenario for that, so I'm not going to repeat it. But I think the setup here, the table is set, nothing else going on, no Roman Reigns title defense. Gunther's not going to drop his title. Rhea's not going to drop her title. There's nothing else crazy going on to take the spotlight away from it. Sure, Randy Orton's coming back, but that might not be enough. CM Punk is not going to be on the show, in my opinion. So everything is set here to make Damian Priest the star of that main event and have that be the lasting image, and the last thing you see on Survivor Series is Damian Priest holding up the World Heavyweight Champion, cashing in successfully the Money in the Bank, perhaps even losing the tag team titles the night before here in just a little while on SmackDown. I think that's a big possibility. So I am going to predict. Often I don't predict cash-ins. I usually don't predict them because they can literally happen whenever. But to me, all of the stars are aligned here, for me anyway. So for the first time in a while, I'm actually going to predict that Damian Priest cashes in successfully the Money in the Bank briefcase and walks out of Survivor Series as the World Heavyweight Champion. That's what I predict. But the babyfaces are going to win the War Games match itself. So there you go. That is it. I'm glad I finished up because I do have to head out the door a little bit early. That's what that text message was about. So I'm going to cruise back over here to the chat, make sure I didn't miss anybody else. Really appreciate the chats. A lot of comments in the chat tonight. I appreciate that. Sorry I couldn't get to everybody. Good to see Transferring Heat chiming in as well. Shell Shock, you can see Randy turning on Cody. Me too. Randy and Cody got a lot of history there. That could be a good program to have. You know, that could be a good Backlash in France match. Randy Orton challenging Cody Rhodes for the undisputed Universal title or whatever. What did WrestleVotes tease? Let's look at them real quick before I get out of here. See what WrestleVotes had to say. Wrestle. How do you spell wrestle? All right. Well, I can't find it. There we go. Just see if there's anything coming out of there. They tease all sorts of shit. This was 41 minutes ago from WrestleVotes. Hearing rumblings that one of tomorrow's Survivor Series matches will be changed tonight. Chatter of Dragon Lee replacing Carlito versus Santos Escobar after an injury angle. Okay, so that's not much of a tease, but it does look like, okay, so they're going to do an injury angle with Carlito, replacing him with Dragon Lee. That's going to be awesome. Dragon Lee and Santos Escobar, fuck yeah. Still picking Santos Escobar to win. So that does not alter my predictions for tomorrow. But if that's what you were talking about, thank you for that. All right, guys, I got to get out of here now. Y'all take care. Please hit that thumbs up button on the way out the door. Like I said, about 30 or 40 subscribers away from 40,000 on the channel. So make sure you subscribe if you are not yet. And be here tomorrow night for Survivor Series. We're going to be watching it together. We will be live about 15 minutes before the show starts. 24 hours from this very moment is when we're going to be going live. Look at the clock. That's when we will be going live here on the YouTube. So thanks again for being here. Happy Thanksgiving again. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Black Friday night, and I will be catching you tomorrow for Survivor Series. Peace.